Hi, y'all. My name is Dara Alston. Welcome to my book space within this world. I'm here. Spring is here, and with spring comes a whole new reading list. So I don't do monthly wrap-ups. I do, or not, this is not a wrap-up, sis. I don't do monthly TBRs. I do seasonal reading lists because if it would, the video would be 2 minutes if I'm doing a monthly reading list. So I wanted to do seasonal reading lists because I'm definitely a mood slash atmospheric reader. So the seasons definitely influence what I choose to read. And I have a couple of books that aren't in yet, and hopefully I can insert their pictures. We'll see in editing. But yeah, let's just jump into it. No further delay. The first book on my spring reading list, which was actually on my winter reading list that I didn't get to, and that is the second book in the Enola Holmes mystery series by Nancy Springer called The Case of the Left-Handed Lady. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Enola Holmes, they did make a Netflix movie off of Enola Holmes starring Millie Bobby Brown and Henry Cavill, I never know how to pronounce his name, as Sherlock Holmes. And Enola Holmes is the younger sister of Sherlock Holmes, and she has taken on his wit, his candor, and all that that entails. She's literally a younger female version of Sherlock, but she's a little rough around the edges. And you'll see that in the first book in the series. Do I actually have that here? I do. Let me grab that. I have books strewn about, let me tell you. This is the first book in the series, The Case of the Missing Marquess, and this is actually what the Netflix movie is based off of. And I also did a podcast episode comparing the movie to this book, so be sure to check that out. But yes, The Case of the Left-Handed Lady, this is book 2 in the series, and the first book was gorgeous, it was delicious, and I'm ready to get into the second book. So the next book, or books I should say, are in the childhood reread series that I'm doing. This is book 7 and book 8. Well, first of all, for those of you who are new, welcome. I am doing a childhood reread series where, as the title suggests, I'm rereading books from my childhood and adolescence. And some of these books I'm actually reading for the first time, especially in this series. I'd never read all of the books in this series, so for most of these, I'm reading them for the first time as an adult. And the nature of this series, with it being called the True Color series, each book is based on a color, and each color is based on a topic. And so for book 7, we have Blade Silver, Color Me Scarred, and this deals with cutting. And then book 8, we have Bitter Rose, Color Me Crushed, and this deals with divorce. And each book goes into the life of a certain high school / teenage girl. So I'm very curious to see what it all is going to look like, dealing with cutting and then dealing with divorce, like their family going through a divorce. Because my family went through a divorce, so I'm curious to see how she goes through that in here. Yeah, I was a teenager. I was 15 when my parents divorced. Okay, let's get into the nonfiction pick for the spring. If you watched my winter wrap up, I mentioned this book as kind of like an expansion of what lit was. And this is Reading Between the Lines, A Christian Guide to Literature by Jean Edward Veith Jr. I hope I said that correct. So, literary expert Jean Veith helps book lovers better understand what they read as he explains how each major literary genre communicates, showing how comedy, tragedy, realism, and fantasy can portray the Christian worldview. Vythe delves into related topics such as the value of fairy tales, which is partly why I wanted this book. The tragic and the comic sense of life, the contrast between the classical and the Hebraic traditions, and the role of postmodernity. Introducing readers to writers past and present, Vythe helps Christians to influence culture from an educated perspective and to get more out of their reading. And as you can see, look at this. This looks like a dang textbook, friends. But I'm giving myself all of spring. So basically, whenever the first day of summer is, June 20 something or other, I'm giving myself till March 20th or whenever the first day of spring is. This is when I'm gonna, because I'm not trying to speed read. Nope. Look at this. I know I'm going to be highlighting marginalia out the yin yang. Okay? Marginalia out the yin yang. I'm ready for this. I tell you, man, Mr. C.S. Who is C.S.? Mr. C.S. Lewis awakened something in me with the fairy tales, man. So I'm very excited to see what this gentleman has to say about fairy tales. What chapter is it? Chapter 4, Fiction, the Art of Oh, here we go. Chapter 8, Fantasy, Literature as a Lamp. Dang, I gotta wait all the way till page 129. Boo! Now, if you guys have watched my last video, which was the quick to judge book tag, you will know that my Kindle read for the spring is Ted Dekker and Tosca Lee's Forbidden, which is book 1 in the Books of Mortals trilogy. That first paragraph just took me by the neck and said, "You ain't going anywhere, sister. Sit on down. Read me." And I said, okay, that's what I'm finna do. I mean, just look at this. We got blood. We got a crest. I mean, what go on? You know? I'm excited. I'm extremely excited. And this is going to be my first Tosca Lee. Tosca Lee has a lot of fanfare and hype. And she's in the suspense genre. And you know Ted Dekker, that's uncle. That's uncle. That's uncle. So, yeah, I am excited to get into this one, y'all. I'm very, very excited. What I'm going to start with first, because I'm currently reading A Rumored Fortune, which is like 18th, 19th, is it 18th? I think it's 19th century England, Victorian England. So I don't know if I'm going to go right into, I was planning to go into Enola Holmes, but that's also the same time period. So I think I want to switch it up. And I might start with Blade Silver, and then give me Forbidden, and then give me Enola, and then give me Bitter Rose, and then and then I'll just be reading between the lines throughout this whole thing. Now, I forgot to mention this as well. The 2 books that are on my list that haven't come in yet. They are 2 books that I am so excited about because I am purposefully reading them to do an episode for my podcast for Asian American and Pacific Islander Month in May. I really want to celebrate the heritage of other cultures and people groups that we have within the United States of America. So I did 3 episodes for Black History Month on my podcast. I did Christian fiction books by Black authors, Christian nonfiction books by Black authors, and then literature in the African American community. And so for Asian American Pacific Islander Month, I want to read books by Asian American and Pacific Islanders. And so Tosca Lee is the author that I am choosing to read for that month, as well as Kevin Kwan, because I'm going to be reading Crazy Rich Asians. And I saw the reviews because, first of all, Crazy Rich Asians is my favorite movie. one of my favorite movies, I should say. And I saw it for the first time last year. And I didn't like, and seeing the book, there's so many mixed reviews, but I'm just still going to read it. So I'm going to read and do a book to movie comparison episode for Asian American Pacific Islander Month. And so I'm going to I want to read it for the spring so that I can finish it by May. And then with Tosca Lee, I'm going to be reading one of her, like the ones she wrote single, like a non-collaborative work of hers called Progeny. I wanted to read her newest works, but I can do suspense, but I can't do thriller. Like there's levels to this. I feel like there's suspense, there's thriller, and then there's horror. I'm not on those top 2 tiers. You can miss me. I'm just, give me the kiddie pool. Give me suspense. That's all I need. I just need a little bit of, and that's it. Just a, that's it. That's it. I don't need a, like, no. No evolution, no evolving, no paranormal, anything. I just need a little bit of suspense and I'm good. So yes, so those other 2 books are Crazy Rich Asians and Progeny. Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan, and then Progeny by Tosca Lee. So that is going to conclude my spring reading list. I would love to know, what are some books on your spring reading list? Are you one who reads by the seasons, or do you do monthly reads? I would love to interact with you and engage with you in the comments. So be sure to leave me your books, your TBR for this spring or for the month, depending on when you're watching this. So that will be all for now, friends. I will see you guys in my next video.